So, welcome everybody. I am here to talk about how to create a Darwin Core Archive, Darwin Core Archives in general, for biological data. And this is me. So I am an employee at the Norwegian Institute of Natural Research, NINA. And I'm part of the environmental data team. And my role is to provide support, technical support for researchers mostly. And I am also part of the CEO's data management system working group. And this is the reason why I'm here. I've been asked to provide this training about the Darwin Core and Darwin Core Archives. And I am a sort of GIS developer with a background in remote sensing. I am graduated in natural sciences myself. I'm working mostly now on building data infrastructures, fair data management, and provide sometimes also some technical training. I wish to say that I'm not the full expert here. So please be patient. I will do my best to share my knowledge about what we are talking today, but this is not a part of my everyday work. So I might not be able to answer to every question you can have, but please feel free to ask all the questions you have. In case I am not able to answer, I will take notes, and I will check also with people who are the true experts. I will also present them to you, because especially there is the GBIF node in Norway, and they are working specifically on these matters, on these topics. And I work at NINA, which is an independent research foundation, is dealing mostly with ecological research. We are somehow 260 employees, even more now. We work also abroad, not only in Norway. And we deal with ecological research, long-term monitoring in ecology. Also, many of my colleagues are working in the field, so they are going to collect information directly in the field, and then provide statistical and geospatial modeling and analysis, counseling and guidance to multiple clients and recipients. We provide also some capacity building sometimes, impact assessments. And our motto is cooperation and expertise for sustainable future. Sustainability is crucial more than ever. So what I will be talking today is I will provide a short introduction to Darwin Core, the standard, to GBIF, an introduction to Darwin Core Archives. We will explore a little bit the GBIF portal itself, how it works. We will see how to access the GBIF data. And I will provide an introduction to IPT, which is the tool used to publish data to GBIF. And then we will do also an exercise. So you will have the opportunity to try by yourself with a test server of IPT. So without the risk of doing anything wrong. And then some final comments and some useful links. I have to say that in general, since there is a lot of material about these topics, so I choose not to do a super long presentation, but I provide you in the presentation itself a lot of links to relevant resources. And we will also jump from the presentation to some online resources while doing this training. So, what are we talking about today? I just realized that you were not seeing me. Sorry. So we are talking about what is, of course, you know what we are speaking about biological data. But biological data means a lot of things. And we will speak more about a part of the biological data which relate to biodiversity. Here there is a distinction between the primary biodiversity data and the ecological data. And the primary biodiversity data is really the core of what we talk today. So it is called also occurrence data. And basically it is when you have information, you collect information about a species, a biological species in nature at a given time in a given place. So this is an occurrence. And the Darwin Core standard and everything we will see focuses mostly on this. So this is very, very important because it narrows down our attention, our focus on this specific type of biological data, which is a relatively simple information, but as you will see, there is a lot of information you can add to it. And we will see this later. While ecological data is kind of richer, it provides information also about the sampling protocol you're using, the study design, and the descriptors of the species traits, how the occurrences are related to each other. So more information when you deal with ecology. And also you can have information coming from some tools you use, like biologger data, could be the collars on an animal, giving you information about how it moves, or data from the DNA, so from samples, or camera traps. So you have these cameras in nature which take photos when something moves. And it is worth mentioning because there is a lot of effort on extending the kind of information which can be managed also with the tools I will be discussing today, to get more into something more extended, which is part of the ecological information focus, which is one of the main focus of ecology researchers. So, why Darwin Core? Why we speak about the Darwin Core? And I will provide immediately after a definition of what is Darwin Core. In natural history collection and monitoring programs, citizen science project researchers who are doing ecology work, so they are all collecting and holding a lot of data on biodiversity, which is really valuable and the basic focus of research. But this information is quite varied and scattered, and can be in different formats, can be in different also storage facilities, storage solutions, and there have been historically a lack of standardization. So the Darwin Core standard offers a solution, a straightforward and flexible framework for compiling this biodiversity data from whatever source. So the idea is to keep it simple and flexible enough to be able to converge data from different sources, from different formats, from different ways of managing into a common ground, a common standard useful for sharing the data, and with a global view. So it is originally managed by most of the biological standards, biodiversity standards included, are managed by this TEDWG community. Let's have a look at it. So can you see the browser? Yeah. Yeah. So the TEDWG community, TEDWG is means Taxonomic Database Working Group, which became the community who deals with the standards, including Darwin Core, but not only. So the Audubon Core is another standard which is used often. There is also ABCD, managed by the same community, and they have different roles and different meaning. But we will focus on Darwin Core because it is the most diffuse now, and also probably the most relevant because of how things developed in years. But on the other side, it is a bit for the management of some type of data a bit too simple. So other standards provide more, let's say, structure to how you can manage more rich information and so on. So what is Darwin Core? It is mostly a vocabulary standard, a glossary of terms. So you have a set of terms which are designed to be like a vehicle for your information in order to make it available to the wider community. So it is an exchange data format mostly. There is one aspect which for me has been quite crucial and important. It is the fact that at the beginning I was thinking that the Darwin Core is a metadata standard. I was coming from a geospatial community where you have standards for managing the meta information, so metadata. So for me, I took a little time to understand that it is not about metadata, or not only. So formally, you can also consider this a metadata standard because it is derived by the Darwin Core. And also, this is why the name Darwin Core mimic Darwin Core. And Darwin Core is a standard which is very general for describing resources, which was, for example, used mainly for libraries at the beginning, but it can be used for really whatever kind of resource, because it is about basic information. The core of Darwin Core is like 15 terms, which describe who created the resource, when, where, what institution, and this very basic information about something. And the Darwin Core is an extension formally of this Darwin Core. So it's something derived from a metadata standard. The first thing you may think is, okay, I'm dealing with a metadata standard again. Not really. So here the things are a bit tricky, because the fact is that it is something in middle between a metadata standard and a data standard itself. So, because I think this is related mostly to the fact that biological biodiversity data is itself a kind of data which often is similar to metadata. So when you have information about, yes, I have a species here in this place at this time, yeah, this is data. but it can also be considered as part of it can be considered the metadata. So the distinction is not so clear, but the most important is that these Darwin Core terms are is a way of structuring the information you have. And to simplify the concept as much as possible, we will have a look at the Darwin Core terms. So here is a link to the Hedwig website providing information about the Darwin Core. And how you use these terms, you use this to restructure your information in a way that is standard. What does this mean? Let's say that you have a table where you store this data, which is the most common format, because in most cases, this simple data, the biodiversity data is like CSV or Excel tables. So using Darwin Core mostly means providing another table, which is used as a template, with column names belonging to this vocabulary, to this glossary, which is the standard one. So this is let's say, a crucial aspect of this standard. So you are renaming the way you are storing your information in a way that it is standard. So here you can please explore it also yourself. You can have a lot of information about the scope of Darwin Core, what are the targets, and then you can have a link, many links to the community, to the group who is doing the standard, who is managing the standard. This is this kind of standard, as many standards are. It is somehow alive, so it is evolving and it is changing constantly, also based on the requests and feedbacks coming from the community. So here, for example, I will click to the link to the Darwin Core terms, and you have here the okay, an introduction of what it is, and then a full list of all the terms, which are divided in classes. I will describe you a little bit what does this mean. And then based on each class, so for example, one of the main, the most important classes is the occurrence. You will have a list of all the terms with a related URI, so the way you formally represent it in the when you are adding it to a schema like a XML or RDF schema. So DWC is the namespace, is one of the namespaces used in the standard, which stays for Darwin Core. And here you have a complete list of the terms, which, as you see, are divided in classes, and the class is like categories of terms for just for facilitating the understanding of it. So it doesn't have a real hierarchy in how you structure this information, but because Darwin Core tends to keep it simple as much as possible. But it is just to better distinguish these categories of terms. So classes are like occurrence, which is focusing really on the observation you have of a species, of an individual, or a series of individuals at the moment. Then you can have more detailed information about the organism itself. There is an important class, which is the event, which is recently also being added to GBIF. We will see this later. And the event describes the event during which the sampling event in which the occurrence has been observed. And then location, a lot of terms related to location, the geological context, identification, the taxon, many times also related to the taxon, because identifying which species is really crucial. Measurements of fact is something additional, which is often used to add information which is not included in the main basic terms. And you can explore the single terms and with some details about the definition of the term, some examples of what can be the content, and also keep in mind that the standard means also dealing with vocabularies. So often also the kind of information you can add is picked from some controlled vocabulary. So you have reference vocabularies to use for specific terms. Here you have the description of what are the vocabularies you can use. So the classes, as I said, is some categories which could be thought as tables in a relational database. So, for example, event, location, we saw them before. And then there are properties. So every class have a set of properties related to that class, and which could be which are the fields of your table. So every property is a field. And for example, if we are speaking about an event, could be an event date. If you are speaking about a location, could be a country. Geological context, a bed. Identification, identified by, so who is the person who identified it. Taxon is a genus, so it is a part of a taxon definition. And then you have the values. And as I said, often tabs from some specific controlled vocabulary. So to avoid that there is like uncontrolled input in these fields. So it is always better if whatever researcher worldwide picks from a shared and standard vocabulary also. So for example, the event date could be in this format. A country could be, in this example, Argentina. The geological bed is Olduvai. Then a name of a person who identified, and then the genus Mallophora. So why GBIF? Why we're speaking about GBIF? So what is the role of GBIF? GBIF is an infrastructure mostly, but not only. It's a network. It's a network very important one. So I will describe it better later. But what is the role of GBIF? Is to share this information globally. So in this graphic schema, you see the different sources of your biodiversity occurrences, biodiversity data. So from specimens in museum collections, for example, which has been digitized, and then observations, surveys on the field. You can also take information from all the literature. In fact, in GBIF, you can have information from centuries ago included. Remote sensing is playing a major role recently. And then also all the work extracting information from DNA. And there are specific ways for managing DNA information because it's a bit different. And then this is all converging to this common standard, Darwin Core. Then there are some tools and procedures for publishing and indexing this data. And then they are shared in the GBIF infrastructure and made available for whatever use, for publications or further research. We will see how powerful it is. And what is GBIF? So first of all, it is an intergovernmental network, and it is also a research infrastructure. It is intergovernmental means that each country has to decide if participates actively to the GBIF network, and this means that it is made at a government level, and means also that the government has some obligations, like providing also some funding, some financing for this ongoing work, because most of the work is facilitating the mobilization of data, which is a huge an important step, because one thing is having a facility, an infrastructure. The other is making the data available. So this is really a crucial aspect. And then it provides, so this infrastructure provides free access. So this is part of the faiриfication of data. Fair means findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And is a term, fair is a term which refers to opening the data, making it available to anyone freely, but not only freely, but in a way that it is really machine readable, human readable, and available for the best of users. So it is based on voluntary collaboration, but at the moment there are many countries worldwide who are participating to GBIF. And every participating country then creates a local node, a GBIF node. And we have a GBIF node in Norway, which is based in Oslo at the Norwegian Museum of Natural History. But every country which is participating to GBIF has a node. And the secretariat is in Denmark, in Copenhagen. So the headquarters of GBIF are in Denmark. So here is more verbose. It's a description of what is GBIF. I like very much the describing it as a global mega science initiative. Is very nice. It is really remarkable understanding how big it became. And yeah, it is about so biodiversity is really crucial. We know we are losing biodiversity daily, globally, and a lot of efforts need to be made to protect biodiversity as much as possible. Having information is crucial. We all know. And so this is an overview of the participating countries, and this heat map, these colors, so the darkest means the more, show how many publishers in each country. So the more dark green you see, the more publishers. Publishers means entities, institutions who has tools for publishing biodiversity information to GBIF. So, and these are some examples: museum, mostly natural science and natural history museums, governmental agencies, also citizen science networks, NGOs, thematic data networks. There are so many possible providers of information. There is some lack of private companies and consultants, but there is some efforts in getting them involved too. And now the other question is, yeah, I provided a short introduction to Darwin Core, the standard, but what is a Darwin Core archive? It is not the same. So a Darwin Core archive, it is related to Darwin Core, but is, let's say, a vehicle of information, a way of structuring the Darwin Core information, which is really focusing on sharing the the information with GBIF. So you can use the Darwin Core standard also without going to use Darwin Core Archives. So this is important. Darwin Core Archives is just a way of packaging the information when you want to share it with GBIF. It was mostly designed by the GBIF developers and GBIF people as a simple way for sharing the information, and it has some limitations. So it is, for example, Darwin Core Archive is not what you would choose for storing your data. So it is only an exchange format. It's something you would use for bringing this information to a global facility, which is something very important and really crucial, but it is not designed to store your information in the most efficient way. So, and here you see in this slide, you see, let's say, a workflow on how you are sharing data with GBIF. So from the very first step is registering a publisher. So an organization who wants to be a publisher needs to get in touch with GBIF and then start using the tools which are available. So one comment here is that yeah, when you start using Darwin Core and Darwin Core Archives, there is some work to do. So you have to map your information to Darwin Core and Darwin Core Archives. A lot of effort has been made to make it as simple as possible, but of course you have to invest a little bit on this process. And then you have also to choose some tools which are designed for this data sharing, because the data sharing with GBIF is something which has to be consistent and also made properly. So there is quality checking, there is the need of making it permanent and reliable. So for example, it is how GBIF is organized now requires that, so GBIF is not a data repository. It's not designed as a data repository. It holds the data, it collects from the different sources, of course, in their database. But the source data has to be kept in at the origin and has to be permanently kept. So one of the tools for this is IPT. We will be exploring this later. The IPT tool is also a data storage facility, which is managed by the entities who are the publishers. So it is not GBIF who is storing data, but it is the publishers. So Darwin Core standard comes when you capture the data. You have a collection of species and of course data, and then you use some ways for mapping this information to the standard, to Darwin Core. But this is one of the first steps. So first you do this mapping, and we will see how we do that. And then Darwin Core Archives comes when you want to move this data. You want to package this information in a way that it is understandable by GBIF. So you need to respect the quality requirements. In some cases, you want not to provide all the information because maybe you are dealing with sensitive data, so you don't share all the information you have for protecting the species you are dealing with. There are some rules to follow when you do these steps. And then you publish the data using the tools available. And then you can use the GBIF facility to explore and download the data. And many users, we will see what you can do there. So here is a very quick overview on how the Darwin Core Archive is organized. It is currently following this star model. So you have a central star model is based on the use of different files, which are packaged in a zip archive. So, and the star model means that you have a central core file, which could be of different types. Could be an occurrence, for example, core, or could be an event core, or could be a taxon, which has different uses based on the kind of information, the type of information you want to share. And then you have some extensions, some additional information, which are linked many-to-one to this central core file. Many-to-one means every record in the extension is linked to a singular record in the core. So you can have many records from each different extension, linking it to a single core row, let's say. And then you have additional information for metadata. There are two files usually, a meta XML and EML XML. The meta XML is just metadata about how your package is organized. So what kind of extensions you have, how they are related to core, and so on. So it's like a structural metadata. And then you have instead metadata about the true metadata, let's say, which are organized in EML, which is the ecological metadata language, which are all packaged as a zip archive, which becomes the vehicle, what is needed, the preferred way for sharing data to GBIF. It's not the only way, but it is the preferred way. Currently, we are working on some new models, like frictionless data, but it is not yet available and actual. So just keep in mind that when we are speaking about the Darwin Core Archive, it is not the same as Darwin Core Standard. It is we are speaking about a very specific way of packaging your information, which is meaningful to the GBIF facility, so the GBIF infrastructure. And yeah, and you want to use it mostly because you want to share with GBIF, which is the main goal, in my opinion. So it is meaningful. And here are some more verbose about what is Darwin Core Archive. Yeah, a compact package containing interconnected text files, which is designed for sharing your Darwin Core terminology. So your data standardized with a glossary of terms, the vocabulary of Darwin Core, packaged in a proper way. So yeah, this is just describing the same I said. The extension files are not mandatory. They are additional in case you need them. So here is some more details about what are the possible cores. Depending on how your data is, what your data is containing, you may have a taxon core, an occurrence core, and an event core. And these are each, this is a choice you do at the beginning. So if you go taxon, you are not managing the information as an occurrence. But if you go as an event, you may link occurrences as extensions, as additional files, because a single event could have many occurrences. There are ways also of adding the occurrences in the event core itself, but these are some details which are relevant when you start working with the data, and there is a lot of documentation about how to, but we will check part of it. And then the meta information is the two files, the meta XML, the EML XML. Here, link to the ecological metadata language, so, which is a different standard. So it's not a Darwin Core, but it is, at a certain point, it has been chosen, it developed independently from Darwin Core, but it was widely used by the biodiversity community because of its completeness, and it has been at a certain point selected as the standard to be used as metadata for the data you are providing. And again, please remember that this distinction is not always so meaningful, because also the data you have in Darwin Core somehow could be considered metadata. But EML is really about meta information related to your data. So it is providing a richness of information relevant to all the surroundings of your data. And yeah, some features. It is very modular. It is designed to be extensible, so you always can add the new terms if you need. This part, of course, following the rules yeah, the syntax and everything. I will not go in detail, but keep in mind that this is also quite important, because you're providing information in EML. But the tools we will be seeing, the IPT tool for sharing data to GBIF, provides a simple interface for adding also this kind of metadata. So you may explore this, but just know that the tools are already designed to facilitate your work. So let's now I wanted to explore a little bit what is GBIF itself. So we started looking at this is the GitHub. I don't know if you are familiar with GitHub, but GitHub is let's say a code repository, but not only. So it is a web facility for sharing code mostly, but also other information. So here you can see all the repositories, which is a lot, related to the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, GBIF. So you can have a source code. Everything also in GBIF is open source. Of course, this is part of the mandate of keeping everything open. So we're speaking about open data and also open source code. So explore it, especially remember that the issues are usually provide a lot of information about what is happening also. So just looking at the issues, you can see what is the direction, what is being asked by the community, and what are the important aspects of it. These are the general issues. Okay, I was showing you the wrong one, because we have to show the issues for a specific repository here. So for example, if we go to IPT or GBIF API, So you can check the issues for it and see what is happening and how. There is a link which I'm showing at the end, but yeah, okay, since I'm speaking about this, let's see it now. So when we speak about the Darwin Core, you can go to this repository, which is managed by Tedwig, about the Darwin Core, and is specific for question and answers. So here you can have both in the wiki a lot of information about specific topics, controlled vocabularies, and specific topics which were raised by the community. So, for example, what we were talking about, what is Darwin Core data standard and what is the Darwin Core Archive. So use these resources which are publicly available when you have the issues. And the issues here are specifically about questions and answers about the Darwin Core. And here you can go even in detail. You can see the currently open issues. So for example, what is the technical information needed in Darwin Core, or use of capital letters. So you can see very specific and detailed issues that the community is finding using the standard and so on, and then answers from the people who are responsible for it. So yes, explore it because this is also a window on what is happening also right now. No? So you can check and you can ask questions to the community. Sure that the people who are responsible for these tools, for these infrastructures are reading your questions and answering. So if you're really looking for the expert feedback, use these tools. Yeah, so let's see what is GBIF and how it works, the GBIF infrastructure. So now we are going to the gbif.org. It's taking too long, so. Okay. So here is the homepage of the GBIF web page. You have information, you have links to multiple information. You have already some statistics, and so you can see here, you can have a taste of what is the volume of information we are speaking about. So it is going to be billions of records, billions of occurrence records, thousands of data sets, also hundreds, 1,661 publishing institutions. So this is a huge project, a huge facility. And then more 5,675 peer-reviewed papers based on the data we're speaking. So, and here you have like a mapping. So you can have a visual taste of where the data are concentrated. And you see here you have a slider of the years. So from the 17th century, 1600 to today, 2021. You can also narrow down. So let's see the oldest available information. It's focused mostly in Great Britain and Ireland. So the according to the UK. and some of the colonies probably. And so it is very, very interesting to me. It's like a glance in the history of science also. You know? And then you can explore. You can, yeah, you may change also the visualization of this map. So here, science is focusing on Arctic, so maybe you prefer this way of representing information. And then you can explore it. You can also narrow down, filter here already, based on the basis of records. Basis of records is already one of the Darwin Core term, which defines the source of your data, the source of your information. So is it coming from direct observation in nature? Is it human or machine observation? It is a specimen, maybe in some collection museum. You can narrow down by filtering here. But then the best is when you explore the occurrences with this tool. So here you can see a table view of all the occurrences with filtering options on the left side. Based on the terms, you can have a simple or advanced search. Which advanced is just more filters and more choices in filtering. So for example, you can filter by license. And you see that licensing data when you are sharing is one of the crucial aspects when we speak about FAIR. So it is telling the user of the data. So what is possible to do with that itself? And you see that CC0, CC BY, or CC BY non-commercial are the most are the choices here. Then, of course, scientific name is one of the key aspects. So also for filtering your information, we saw basis of records. You can filter by location. You can filter by using tools for filtering. So creating like a bounding box. And this already filters out. So again, I'm here in Scandinavia. So you will have results, table results here, based on this location bounding box using this map tool, or using directly some coordinates. This is geographical coordinates, or administrative areas. So searching, for example. Could be narrowing down. You want only one of the Norwegian counties, or based on time. Yeah, you can choose continent. Of course, here it's only Europe because we are still with this filter for the past. Because we are between 1600 and 1954, but we can stop it so it will be more choice. And yeah, you can filter by publisher. So here, for example, since we are focusing with a bounding box on Scandinavia, you see only the institutions which are relevant here. Also, this is Nina, where I work, or the Norwegian Biodiversity Information Node, Norwegian GBIF node, or NTNU, universities, GBIF Sweden. So here I'm narrowing down only the results coming from my institution, from NINA, the Norwegian Institute for Natural Research. And here you see a number of results, 325 results. So you filter out what is really relevant to you, and then you can download it. So you can use the download button. You need to have a login for this kind of download. But there are other ways for accessing the data. We will see some examples, especially using the GBIF API, which is very useful for whatever we are doing here on research. You can do programmatically using the API, of course. Yeah, and here is how you can explore. You can see a map view of the same information. So far we were just looking at the table, but the map view gives you an idea of how also this information is distributed. So geographically. Yeah, the gallery view is when you have also some pictures related to this, but it's not the case here. You can explore by taxonomy. So this is when you share the information using the taxon core instead of the occurrence core. And here you have statistics based on the taxonomy of the species. Now I think maybe I might be wrong, because it is extracting information also from the occurrences. So you have statistics also based on the occurrences. And some metrics. So occurrences per data set. So what is a data set in this context? When you are sharing a Darwin Core Archive, it is what is your data set? We will see this later when we are using the IPT tool. But whenever you are creating and this will contain a number of so basically the number of in your archive. And you can also see the data sets and download, for example, a specific data set here. So when you go to get data, you can select the data not visualized as occurrences as we saw before, but in this case organized as data sets and visualized as data sets. So, and you have really many different type of data sets also. So, and also keep in mind that when you are sharing a Darwin Core Archive, it is not like one go. You share it once, and then you have to package another dataset. The GBIF is maintaining a link to the original Darwin Core Archive, and you can update it. You can choose also the update rules, so it can be at every interval of time, or when you manually ask for an update. So the dataset will be updated with new occurrences in case. So this is why it's very important to manage a Darwin Core Archive as a view, but it is permanent. So when you have it on your repository, your local repository, you keep it there on a permanent basis. So this is very important. You don't have to look at it as something you do once and then forget about it. So, for example, it doesn't make a sense installing an IPT instance just for sharing data and then putting it down. No, when you install an IPT, it is because you have a view of keeping the information in your IPT, which is also the data repository, on a permanent basis, persistent basis, so for long-term availability of the dataset. So you now have an idea of what is possible to do in it's very important also application face which lets a useful and summary where you have all the details of how the API is organized and some examples also on how you can get information using the API. So here you have a cool example. So I cannot show you, unfortunately, because I'm on Windows now, but you can try it. But there are many ways of accessing this information, and this is what I'm showing here. There are libraries in the most common scripting languages or programming languages. So there is an RGBIF package, which is designed to access the GBIF API from R. R is commonly used by researchers. So if you are an R user, keep in mind that you can access all this GBIF information using this library, RGBIF. You have some examples here, and just explore it. I will not go in detail in this, but just explore it if R is your tool. So me, for example, I'm more on the Python side, so I would use the PyGBIF to access the information. Okay, so this is a link to the PyGBIF documentation. You can find also the repo for the package itself. Explore it. So it has all the details on how you access using Python the GBIF information. Or for example, and this I will show because this is very user-friendly. There is a QGIS plugin. So I don't know if you are familiar with QGIS, but it is one of the most commonly used open source GIS software, so Geographic Information System software. And let me show it very briefly. So this is QGIS, one of the latest versions of QGIS. And I just installed using the plugin management and installer. I just installed some plugins, and including this GBIF occurrences one, which is provided by this Belgian biodiversity platform. They are very active in development. I think it's also the Belgian GBIF, the Belgian, this Nicolas Noé is also the one who is behind the PyGBIF library. And so I have it available here as a plugin. So there is a small icon. I can open this very simple interface where I'm just filtering out some information. So, for example, let's I choose a species. This is the wolf. I choose a country. Let me choose Norway again because I will stay to Norway. Okay, and this is enough. So I will just picking these two filter options. I choose to load the occurrences. So you see, it's very simple interface. You don't have to do a lot of operations here. And you are in a JS environment. So this is just connecting to GBIF, to the GBIF API. And downloading the data you may use for your geographic research or for whatever analysis you want. No? So yeah, it took a little time. Let me add maybe OpenStreetMap background. Yeah, I have to move it on top. Yes, so you see, now I have a lot of occurrences, a layer of occurrences. I can explore the table. So it is 10,000 mostly observation points. I downloaded about a wolf in Norway. So you see how powerful it is having a facility like this. And this is available globally. So you can basically download, access information about whatever species globally and do global analysis, which is so powerful, so powerful. Of course, I use very simple filters, but you can really play with it in a way that you can. I think this is just to give you an idea of what is possible here. No? So, and this is one of the options I have. So you can do the same using RGBIF, PyGBIF, using some libraries also for mapping. The choice is yours. So this is just to show how a simple workflow can give you a lot of information in one of the software which a lot of people are using regularly for research. And yeah, so let's go and see how we can publish data to GBIF. So there are some options out there. The options are, I think they are getting more and more because there are people who are developing new ways. But of course, the best one is to rely on what is available outside. So the first option is to decide, the first thing you have to do is to decide, is your institution going to be a publisher to GBIF? So then you might want to install an IPT instance managed by your institution and start publishing. So the GBIF community is very friendly in this, so they try to help you as much as possible. They have also funding for doing this. So it's not said that you have to pay for support. You have free support most often in helping you installing all the software and infrastructure you need to become a publisher. Or the other option is to refer to existing publishing options, institutions. So, for example, here is another link to, it is again GitHub. to data hosting centers. So this page here is specifically for giving information about where you find. So you see, it is also, it's not a complete list, I think, but already you have some here information about hosting centers by country. So in case of Norway, the one who is listed here is GBIF Norway, so the local node. The GBIF Norway node is very active and very also in the community. Especially Doug Anderson is very, from the beginning of the GBIF activities, he's very involved and also providing a lot of work and support. So we are lucky in Norway. I'm speaking of Norway, of course, but you can find many contacts you may have. And what does it mean? That means that these institutions have an IPT, they are managing an IPT, and they can provide their infrastructure to share your data. You can use them, and I know for sure that, for example, the Norwegian node is providing this support also for project at a project basis. So you don't need to start being a publishing institution, but you can just contact the GBIF Norwegian node. You have a project where you are dealing with biodiversity data, and you ask them to help you sharing this information, and this is perfectly doable. So here I'm listing a little more than what is available there. So at least 3 institutions, but it could be more. So the GBIF node, here a link again. So this is the link of the gbif.no. This is of course relevant for who is in Norway. But if you're not in Norway, you will find a similar for your country. And yeah, you can have also a subset here of datasets which are in Norway. So it is everything is locally oriented here. Or another institution which is relevant and sharing information to GBIF because it's their mandate. It is the Artsdatabanken is the Norwegian Biodiversity Information Center. So they have this role of sharing biodiversity information in Norway, and they have also an IPT. Or another, so we also, as NINA, have an IPT. I will show you. Or another project, which I will mention briefly also in another slide ahead, is the Live in Norway project. It is a project which is designed to facilitate the mobilization of data in Norway. So this is just to say that there are also a lot of local organizations which are doing some work, because of course the target is sharing it globally. So GBIF is where you want your data to go, because it's an amazing infrastructure which allows everyone everywhere to reach this information. But then there is a lot of efforts which can be done locally to mobilize the data. So to create a networking, to create, to facilitate raising awareness about how important it is to share data, because this is a bigger issue still. So I think if you work with data, you know, not everyone is always sharing the available information. There are many reasons for that. I will not dig into that, but and sometimes it's just not knowing how you do, because it requires a little work. But what you get back from sharing is so important, I think, but it's always worth. So this is a message I always like to share, because the gain in sharing is more than keeping your data protected locally. So yeah, I will speak a little more about living in Norway in a slide later. Okay, let's speak about IPT. So IPT is the tool you is not the only option, because you can also, if you are a developer, for example, you might want to develop your own application which is interacting with a GBIF API. So this is perfectly possible, but in that case, it requires a lot of work. Here we're speaking about tools which are already available. So there are a couple of options when you are using IPT. So one is using some templates which are, let's say, mapping your data, which is probably in a text file or in some tables, in some spreadsheet or something, and you map it to Darwin Core. So this is the first step, and then you share it with IPT. Or another option is you have a database, and then you at least create some views of your tables, which are organized according to Darwin Core terms. So using the Darwin Core standard. Translated in simple words, that means you prepare some tables with column names based on Darwin Core standard terms. So here is a link to the IPT manual, user manual. You have a lot of information on how to do things. And here are some links to some IPTs. So let me show our Nina IPT. So this is how it looks like. So I will log in with my user. So you have a list of data sets. And you have also, so these are the data sets we are sharing currently with GBIF. So all the data sets here are also in GBIF because they are, if they are published, because you can also keep a data set not published, but the purpose of IPT is to publish them publicly. No? So at a certain point, you will do this step of publishing. So the IPT, as I said before, is a data management infrastructure. So IPT is a repository. So here you have your data set, you have your Darwin Core Archives stored and visible to GBIF. So GBIF knows, GBIF is designed to keep an eye on your IPT and to know what you're doing with it. So if you update the information and republish it, this is constantly linked to GBIF, and GBIF will be updated with the new information. So let's have a look at one of these repositories. I'm choosing one which is not in Norwegian, but it is in English. Okay, for example, this is bumblebees and butterflies in Norway. So you see, you have here some information, some metadata. You have a description, so which is quite yeah, it's a description which is providing a lot of information. So this is what is suggested to have. The more it's easy to understand what it is about, the more it's easy to reuse your information. So description explaining everything about this data set, what it is about, how the data was collected. It is related to some citizen science project. It has already in the description some information which is also available probably in the metadata, but just for a quick overview. So for example, with some details about the grid, a grid network, how it is spaced, how many transects, and so on. Then you have information about how many data records are contained in this data set. So you can choose different type of downloads. So you can download it as a Darwin Core Archive, or you can download just the metadata as EML, which is again ecological metadata language, or as an RTF. And then some information about the versions. So who is also modifying it. Then you have information about the citation. So how to cite this dataset. So this is one of the most crucial aspects. So using a tool like this means that you are able to cite your data. And this is one thing which is more and more requested by the editors for publications and so on. So it is a very crucial point to be able to cite your data and to have a repository which is sharing openly your data. So then you have some license and then information about how it is registered to GBIF.
Matteo, could yes. I have one question? I see that
yeah, sure.
GBIF has a UID identifier. Do you know, do they plan to have the DOI for the datasets, or it depends on the repository that submit the data?
That's a very good question. So it's not only that they plan. The GBIF provides a DOI. So there are some options there, because you can have your own DOI as an institution and provide your DOI, or you can have just the UUID in IPT, and then when you share it on GBIF, GBIF is adding a DOI to it. And then what is happening? So what is happening is that when you refer to this data set in GBIF, you can cite it from the GBIF side, including the DOI. So the DOI will point to the GBIF record, which is anyway keeping the information about. So you will have more than one identifier.
Okay.
Together. But even more than that, you can have more than one DOI. So it is an option to have both the GBIF DOI and your own institutional DOI.
Okay. Quite confused if you have two DOIs for one dataset.
Yes, but in this case, if you have your own DOI, this will consider to be like the priority one. So the one to be used for the citation.
Yeah. And how it works if you have like in the one dataset, in one record, you have several files. You have the DOI for each file or for the whole dataset?
So you have DOIs for at a dataset level, yes. Okay. So the DOI is for the dataset level, but not for each record. Not for each record, as far as I know. So I hope not to be wrong here, but the DOI, it is as far as I know, it is for the dataset only.
Okay. Thank you.
But I will check this. So this is a very relevant question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so let's have a look at this. So let's have a look at this in GBIF. So let's look for this data set here. So here is the same representation of the data set we were seeing in IPT, here in GBIF. So here tells you where it is hosted by the Norwegian Institute for Natural Research. the license, and here you have the DOI, and also a suggestion on how to cite it, including the DOI. So yeah, I think maybe I have to check this, because I think the ideal thing would be that you have this information about this citation and the DOI also in the IPT. Yeah. So I have to check if it's something which is missing from our side in this communication back, or it is just how it is designed, and the fact that you know that you have to refer to this citation when you're citing, if it's shared with GB. I have to check this. I don't know, sincerely. I don't know. Here is where you have the DOI included. This one is the DOI provided by GBIF. So at the current level, we are in a recitation, but we started to have, we are minting DOIs from DataCite now, but we still didn't update the IPT. So we have the options now as Nina to start using our DOIs, but yet we didn't update the IPT with our DOIs. Yeah, also because
because it looks like if you have a DOI from DataCite, it looks like GBIF should rather harvest that one than assign a new one.
Yeah, but there is some workflow of assigning a new one. Let me look for this. The citation guidelines from GBIF. They were. I was reading about it, and also citing. So you can also cite occurrence data downloads. Yeah. So I guess that you have also DOI which is assigned to every download. I'm not sure. I have to check this. Sorry, I don't know this. So citing individual datasets. A citation. I was reading something about the workflow of adding your own.
Yeah, no worry about that now.
Okay.
I will also look into the details about that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that you have this option of if not having two, because you're right, this could be confusing. It is about substituting the GBIF one with your own. So this is at least possible. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Okay, so then just other examples of IPT. This is from the GBIF Norwegian node. You see, it's the same thing. Sometimes you have datasets which has really a lot of occurrences, like in this case, 3 million, over 3 million occurrences. Some of them are really low. And you see, some of these are 0 occurrences. What does this mean? Because IPT let you have also metadata only datasets. Why this is needed sometimes? Because let's say that you are publishing something, you are publishing an article, you know that you will share your data at a later moment, so you want to have a citation for it, including a DOI. So you create a metadata only dataset for a temporarily. Or another situation could be your data is so delicate that you cannot share, but to be fair, it is already enough that you share metadata about your dataset, so that anyone who is looking for it can see, okay, there is this institution having information about the information I need. I don't see the occurrences here, but I can contact them. So this is a perfectly fine and perfectly fair. So this is why you see some datasets with 0 occurrences. It is, you see also here, it is the type of dataset is metadata only. Yeah, and at least when you are creating it, you create the AML metadata. We will see in the exercise, which is coming really next. You will see how to do that, how to create the metadata in IPT and so on. So here is the exercise. I will show you myself first, and then I will let you, like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to play a little bit with it, because I think it's useful. You learn more if you want. So if you want, you have this opportunity. And so we have an access to an IPT demo, which is in test mode. So we can play with this and do whatever we want. And this information we can also publish. So the advantage of using this test demo IPT is that you can publish your data, and it will go to this demo GBIF. So there is a GBIF which is designed only for demo purposes, which is the same, exactly the same of the other one, but it is just a fake data. Fake, or just could be real data, but shared just for testing purposes. So this is where we can play a little bit and have an idea of how the whole process is working. So first, let's have a look at this. This is the GBIF IPT repository. And from here, you can go to the wiki in the GBIF IPT wiki or GitHub. And you find some useful information, which is not as detailed as the manual. So the manual is another link I provided before in the slides. Maybe I should share this also. Yeah, I'm really not seeing the chat from here. Okay.
I'm just looking for that.
Okay. I will share also the link to the manual, IPT manual, and this one, to the GitHub by IPT. Okay.
Okay.
So and then I share again. Okay. So here you have the information. Why I'm showing you this now? Because in the how to publish guide, here you have a resource metadata. You have also an interesting video. So then later you can have a look at it. Then you can, if you go to, for example, this one of these links. So how to share checklist data means the taxon core. Occurrence data is occurrence, and sampling event data is the event core. So let's start from the occurrence one, occurrence data. And here in the description of the instruction on how to share, how to publish everything, you have also some example. So this Excel template following the Darwin Core standard, and an Excel template with example data. So I suggest you to download this and use if you start playing with it, if you want to do this exercise, you can use this for example. Let's have a look on how it is. So this is the README. So it's occurrence data with example. And then here you have the occurrences, and you can see how it is organized. You know? So it is already mapped to the Darwin Core. So if you have the first step before this, if you are starting from whatever data file or data content you have, the first step would be to use a template similar to those you can find in the link, and map, read the Darwin Core terms and find the Darwin Core terms which are suitable for your data, for the data content you have, and then create something like this, which has like the column names are following the Darwin Core terms. This is many fields, you can see, and this is what we will be using. Or if you want to do a more complete exercise, you could start from some biodiversity data you have and try to do also the mapping to Darwin Core before. So, and this is the link I also shared in the chat. And here you find, so I hope you are there, but if you are not there, is there anyone who is not included? Because I was adding based on the people I was seeing. I see also Chiara, maybe. Chiara is not, so just add. So these are like it is the users and password. So we keep it simple and we keep the passwords open, but it doesn't matter because this is a test server. It is temporary, so also these users we created just for this will be deleted after some time. So let's play with it today or in the next days if you want to try how it works. And no worries, you cannot mess anything because it's just a test server. So just play freely with this. And I will do this exercise the first time together with you, and maybe I will leave some free time for you. Although, but maybe it's not necessary. You can play by yourself later when this training is over. So I will just show you what you do. You first log in to the IPT server. You should have a login option here, upright. And then I go to, in the home view, you see some example dataset which are already there in this IPT. And then I go to manage resources. So what I see here is more because I am an admin here. So probably you will not see the administration. So me as an admin, I see the things I was testing. I said, maybe I could also try something. I could try also to log in with one of your accounts, with one of the test accounts. Yeah. Let's say I will use 15. In case of any of you has not, do you want to see again the list? So in case any one of you has not this, is not in the list, let me know. So I will test user 6, 15. you have to use the email, yeah, which is a test user email no. Yes. So good that I tried, because yes. So of course this is also a fake email, but it doesn't matter, because this test you don't have to log into your email to get access. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so maybe what I'm seeing now is that you cannot do the creation with this account. Okay, so maybe I have yeah, I have to get back again. Okay. Yeah, the risk is that I will lose a lot of time doing this operation. So if I see that it is changing role, yeah, manager with the registration rights. So sorry about that, because you should all be this. Maybe it will be fast enough. So let me do this. We are not so many, so manager with the registration rights. I should have checked this before. Sorry. User file. How many are we? 11. So oh, I forgot the test 9. Yes. Oh no, it is the next. Okay. Test 9, test 10. And test 11. Okay. So now you know also something about administration of users. I'm not sure how useful. Okay. And the test user 15. Yeah, but I can keep now. I think I know what you are able to do. Okay, let's do that. I will also be a manager in the registration. Okay. So now you see that you have a manage resources button.
Just a moment, Matteo. I see that Ludmila cannot log in.
Okay. What number was test user?
Yeah.
Test user 2. So she has some issues. So let's say that you are test user 12, and I will habilitate user 12. So I think this is, but I'm not available anymore. So okay, this is a 12. Okay, so just use the test user 12 email and the password, which is test user 12 at email.no, and then password test 12.
Yeah, okay, it works.
Okay, perfect. So now we go to manage resources. So maybe it doesn't matter, but I really want to be one of you. Okay. Okay. So here is in manage resources where you start creating your data set, and then you can choose. You can choose. There are some options. You can upload a zipped Darwin Core Archive, which you may have obtained in whatever way. So, for example, there are some libraries. There are some projects which allow you to map your data to Darwin Core Archive. So they are designed to simplify this process. So you have some options on how you create your Darwin Core Archive, or there are also some software tools which let you this step. So you may have as an input a Darwin Core Archive, or you just upload an IPT resource, or you start from the beginning. So here you choose if you are importing an archived resource. You have also some tooltips by choosing this I. So let's give a name to your data set. The suggestion is to use meaningful names. Normally, something which is a short name but meaningful to the reader, and the names you saw in the other IPTs we saw before. So, like in the other IPTs, now the names are the ones listed here. So I will just call it exercise test, and you choose whatever name you like. And we choose the type occurrence, because in this case we are adding an occurrence, but it could be a checklist, which is the taxon core, or a sampling event, or a metadata only. So I choose occurrence. I don't check this because it's not an archived resource we are creating. So here you have another form for adding your data. So the first step is choosing the file of your source data. And we have some instructions on what kind of formats are allowed. So delimited text file like CSV, tab, and other delimiters, or already compressed zip. Or you can configure a SQL view in a database. and then you choose to connect to database instead. So in this case, I choose a file which was downloaded before. So the example data we downloaded from the link provided before. Which is the one I opened before to have a check how it is organized. Which we know is already in mapped to Darwin Core terms. And then I add it. Okay, so here are some options about it, about the data itself. So the source name, number of header rows. So how many rows of header you have to ignore when you are importing. So in our case, it's a single header row. Then you may also have a look at the data. So if you click on this eye near to analyze, you have a look on all your data. So you see here the rows of your occurrences, and with all the information. So it helps you also to set what you have to set here. And then you select also the worksheet, which is of course not the README, but the occurrences. In this case, because we are using an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I can see that it's marked that it's readable. So I assume that if the format is not correct, we will receive the information that something wrong is with the file here.
Where you see it?
Above column 65, we have mark on the green that it's readable. So if the file format will be wrong, we will receive information here that something is wrong. Yes. But it's only about the file format.
Yes, IPT provides already some quality checking while you are adding information. So there is some code which is running behind the scenes and gives you helps you in while you are adding the information also. So checking the quality of your information.
Okay.
Yes. So then I save it. And here you see that there is this added source file. So then you can choose what is the Darwin Core mappings you're selecting for this specific data file that you're adding, this data set you're creating. And in our case, we know this is a Darwin Core occurrence. So the other options being the taxon and event. If you choose at the beginning a metadata only, you will not be seeing this form, of course, because you will be switching immediately to the metadata adding form. So we keep occurrence here. And then you see also here you have a warning saying the resource is missing mandatory metadata. So you have to edit this before being able to publish it or do whatever with this data set.
Yeah. Sorry, Matteo, we have a question in chat from Tessa.
Yeah.
She missed where we got the occurrence file. I think it's choose the file, and upload the
choose
the
file. Choose file. Yes.
And the link to this file have been delivered by Matteo before in the chat box. Yes,
I will show you again. So it is something you find not in the manual. Here in the wiki of GBIF IPT, and I provided the link in the chat box. And here you have. I choose here there are some instructions in the wiki. So you go to the wiki tab, you have some instructions on how you do things to publish with IPT. No? So there are some guides. There is a how to guide. There is a lot of links. So I suggest you, after this training, if you are really willing to get into the work, explore this. So there is a lot of documentation, a lot of useful information. And here is the how to publish guide. How to publish through gbif.org. And then it says that gbif supports publication of these 4 classes of data. So resource metadata, so metadata only, checklist, which is the taxon, occurrence data, or the event core, the sampling event data. And then if you click to occurrence data, which is our case, because I'm just showing the most common and the most basic type of data set you share usually. No? And here you have also, again, some information, introduction, how to transform your data into occurrence data. So it gives you also some information on how you do this transformation. But then here you have also some already files you can download. So an Excel template, which is empty, and then an Excel template which contains some data. So I suggested you to download this one. You just click on this, and you will have this file downloaded in local. And then and this is the one I opened here in Excel. And then you can use, after downloading it, in our IPT, where we are doing this exercise in the test IPT, IPT test.gbif.no. You add this and you choose the file you downloaded. No? So you choose file and you choose the file you downloaded. Because it's why we are like skipping some steps, which is mapping your data to Darwin Core. Because this file you downloaded is already mapped in Darwin Core. So it's already has the column names already as Darwin Core tells. This is yeah.
If I can have one comment, Matteo.
Yes.
Yeah, you showed the template, Excel template, and I would like to inform you that during one of our next trainings,
yes,
which will be maintained by Luke Matsu from Unis, from the Nansen Legacy, we will show the tools how to create that type of the template.
Yes, so. Yes. I wanted to introduce this at the end of my presentation. Sorry. Yeah. So, but it's a right moment. So it's very relevant. So thank you, because I should have said that, Derek. So yes, it's a good moment to say this. So this is one of 2 trainings which is related to Darwin Core Archive preparation, and there will be Luke Marsden, who will be holding this on 22 of April. Because there is some tool which is part of a Nansen Legacy project, where you have standardized templates which you can also access to easily convert your data to Darwin Core Archives. So please, if you are interested also in these steps, follow this other talk on 22 of April by Luke Marsden, which is part of this SciOS data management trainings. Yeah. Thank you, Derek, for the reminder. Yes, this is very important. Yeah. And yes, here we are again. So we are editing the metadata now. We are going to this other form. And here, the metadata we are editing is in EML. So the ecological metadata language, of course, ecological metadata language. And you, so these are many aspects of it. And then you will fill one by one this metadata. So here something is already there. So the title is there, but you might change it. What is the publishing organization? So here in this IPT, there are no many, because usually these are provided as vocabularies. So you store in IPT some vocabularies which are giving you the choice of what is possible to choose to pick in these choices. So in this case, there is only GBIF-No. Then this is an occurrence, the language of your metadata, English. How frequent is this being updated? So it is not planned in this case, not planned an update, but you can choose whatever. Is it there is a subtype of occurrences. So is it, in case of occurrences, is it a specimen or an observation? Let's say that it is an observation in nature. Again, which data language it is. So in this case, it's English. And the vocabulary here contains probably all the languages worldwide, so it's a lot of languages. So the data license, there are here in this case only 3 choices: Creative Commons CC BY 4, or non-commercial, or public domain. Just pick the one. And then the licensing is very, very important. So the suggestion is when you start sharing data publicly, be aware of what a license means. And these are all open open licenses, but there are some restrictions. For example, in the non-commercial says that you cannot get profit from share. You can reuse the data, but not for profit commercial reasons. But I suggest to read in detail the description of the licenses when you start using them. Yeah. So then you can add the description, also organize it as paragraphs. You can have many paragraphs. This is a text description. Of course, you can do whatever in your metadata. So you choose. So, who are the contacts for this resource? So, which could be different from the creators, because I might be the manager of the data, but not the creator of the data set. It could be 2 different persons. So be aware of it and fill it with the information. So in Norway, we would use Ola Norman, which is a sort of John Doe. Is 1 N or 2? I don't know. And then its position, let's say it's a it's data mining. Organization is I haven't put in. And the address, yeah, you have the mandatory information with a star. So whatever doesn't have a star is optional. So you see here, all the information we added before were mandatory, including the license, including the description. But here, the details of the resource, some of it is mandatory, like last name, position, and organization, and all the rest is optional. So let's keep it empty. Then also the resource creator. So you can copy details from the resource contact. Let's say that in this case it's the same. So metadata providers, here is, yeah, again, metadata provider is who is responsible for publishing. So it could be a totally different institution and from the one who is managing the resource, no? So who is contact or creator of the resource. So here, in this case, it's the name automatically gets the first and last name of me who I'm adding in IPT. Yeah. Again, let's say that this is GB Norway. So you can use also identifiers, no? So also in the other cases, for example, the same of a DOI for a data set or other resource is the ORC ID. The ORC ID is like a DOI for persons, for specific people. So if you have an ORC ID, you can use this as a personal identifier, which helps a lot because it resolves automatically to a page which is describing who are you, and it is very useful using this. Then save. Apparently a bit slow. I really hope that this IPT instance can manage many users concurrent. Are you having problems also?
Yeah, the same.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an issue when using this kind of test instances. I hope this doesn't crash or stops in the process. Anyone was able to save? Yeah, timing out. So maybe it's not a good idea to do this all together. Sorry, I couldn't really test this before, so even if I wanted, unless asking, yeah, some colleagues.
So maybe we just try to log out, and then you can give us an overview how to do it, and then each of us can try it afterwards.
Yes. I think that's the best option. Sorry, I had a doubt. Will it scale enough? But apparently it doesn't. Yeah. Also, I would say that normally IPT is not something which is designed to have many concurrent people working on it. So usually there are some managers which are doing the work, and there are few, and I guess rarely having a huge traffic. So that's the test demon always there waiting for a training course. Sorry for that.
No worries.
Okay. So let's see if I can tell you something. Yeah, let's some comments about in general what we were seeing today. So yes, this I already talked a little bit about. So is it a metadata standard? No, not really. Not only. it is a way of, but now you understand more what does it mean, because it's a way of structuring your data sets differently so that it is standard and it is easy to share. Of course, there is always some data loss. So you cannot think that you will be able to share all the information you have. And very often you are just filtering some information, you are selecting some information which will be going to this to GBIF, which is the meaningful information from the GBIF perspective and data sharing point of view. So the Darwin Core Archive is, again, is not designed to store your information, but just to exchange it with other people, which is already something extremely important. So do it whenever you can. Yeah. And again, yeah, I repeat this. I said already that GBIF is not storing the Darwin Core Archives. So always think of IPT as a place where you put your data to stay permanently, because in order to be available on GBIF, you need to keep it in IPT or another kind of repository which is designed for that. There are probably some options. The Living Norway project, which I mentioned before, for example, is also designing together with the GBIF developers. So it's designing another way of storing data, which is different from IPT, but with the same purpose of sharing to GBIF. So different applications which are doing almost the same thing with maybe some differences. For example, the Living Norway project, I have a slide about it. So the Living Norway project is focusing more on mobilized data from Norwegian institutions. So this is one of the main focus. And also focusing on the ecological management. So finding new ways of storing the data, which is not only with the limitations of Darwin Core, because Darwin Core focuses really on the occurrence, but the ecologists need something more. So they will try to extend the data, also the data formats to include also some aspects which are not considered now. So yeah, and then something about for who is in Norway. So some of you will not be interested, but these are like local statistics about how many species records, how many data set, how many publishers from Norway, 38, how many peer review papers and so on. And then this is some people you can contact. So they are the true experts, which I am not. So these are people working for the GBIF Norway node. And please contact them at this helpdesk@gbif.no if you are in Norway, or find a senior representative in your country if you are somewhere else. But I guess you could contact them the same, because they are very helpful. But yeah, I don't know. I cannot speak for them. But and also in the frame of SIOS, I was talking with them. I had a meeting with them 2 days ago, and they said, but if you are willing in SIOS to have more feedbacks from them and more insight, they are always welcoming. So if you need more training and more specific, you can organize that. So this is their role, and we really just contact them in case you want that. Okay. So now let's try. Let's try again here. Sorry. What can I do?
No worries.
I can show this on our Nina data, maybe something.
Yeah, you can show this. You can show this, or we can also think if we will be sharing the recording on our webpage,
yes.
we can also think that maybe you can just afterwards record like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of
Yes.
Short movie, just how to do it, and then we can add it to the material from the training.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. So yes, let's do that. So I can do this short video and add to the material, and you will receive. So you can see. But I would say that if you don't want to wait for a video, the documentation is good enough, and you can, for example, go to this manual, the IPT manual, and you have all the details on how you do this. So you have access to this. Maybe if I will ask to put this up again, because it looks like it's down now. So maybe if it's not everyone doing this all together, you can still play with this server again. I will ask, because this server is kindly hosted by the Norwegian GBIF node. So it is not managed by us in Nina, but by the GBIF Norway. So the same people, by them. So I will ask them what we can do, or maybe they can put it up again and you can play with it, and if it's a few people, shouldn't be a problem. I will check what is possible there, and you can read the documentation by yourself, or I can also do this video where I explain how to do things. Of course, these steps usually you don't do, but at least you don't do all the steps, because publishing to GBIF is a serious thing, no? So if you're playing with a test server, no problem. But usually it is something that you do only when you have really something to publish. And usually there are some people who are responsible for these operations. But I wanted to give you an idea of how it works, no? So what are the software you use, and how it works. Yes, so maybe just a short comment. Yeah.
Matteo, I have one short question. If you will upload your data to the test GBIF, can you then transfer it to the main system, or you just need to do it again?
But to the test demo of GBIF, this one.
Yeah.
Yes. So you will have this when there is a step in IPT which is publish your data, and when you press on the publish button, the data will be available here. Okay. So there was a data set which was, let's say if I can find it here by looking by Nina. So yes, the Nina insect database, for example, is I think is not the one I created. Okay, but these are some tests which has been done from Nina. So you will find like a full test data set on this fake GBIF, this test GBIF. Yeah? So which works exactly as the regular one, but with only data for testing purposes. Yes. So what I wanted to show, yeah, about the Live in Norway. Yes, so the Live in Norway project, there are some of my colleagues who are working also on a library. So if we go to Live in Norway on GitHub, there is this Live in Norway R package, which is in development. So it's not yet ready to be used, but almost. They said that in a few weeks should be ready. And the purpose of this library, R library, is to, let's see, okay, no wiki, but it is to create some Darwin Core archives. So you have some code and some procedures. Yeah, and here you have a GitHub IO. So yeah, the purpose is to create Darwin Core Archives using R. And then when you have Darwin Core Archives, you can provide it to an IPT and let it available. So what they are trying to do is to have some simple procedures available also to regular researchers to create Darwin Core Archives in a simplified way. So this is the purpose of this work here. And yeah, so just to let you know, but there are options on how to do things. So the IPT one I was showing is one of the options, but then you have other options, some of them which will be available soon as the one I showed, or other tools. Yeah. Okay, this is I think dead now. Yeah. Okay. I will end our training here. So do you have any questions, any curiosities? Yes, I had a slide here about, so you have a wiki about the Darwin Core, question and answers. So here I showed you already before, so use this. Use this also to ask questions if you have. This is the TEDWG people, and this is about the Darwin Core standard. Yeah. Or you have a similar resource for GBIF in the GBIF GitHub. Yeah, and I think that's all from my side. So contact me if you have any question, any doubt, any request. So yes, more than welcome.
Yeah,